All right.
Okay, so let me give a quick introduction. Hi, everyone. This is Mahmoud Ghod from Agile Club. Let me start the video. Okay. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. So, as you all know, that Agile Club's mission is to create a community that gathers people around knowledge. And in Agile Club, we highly believe in Kaizen, which is the continuous improvement, and it's better to be achieved through a collective mind within a strong community and powerful ecosystem. We are gathering people interested in agile software development. That's why we started our third monthly event to be online. We can invite coaches and trainers from across the board to help us doing this. Let me start introduce Abby. Abby, she is an agile coach and trainer. She spent the last 18 years in her career as a management consultant, crossing different industries such as banking, insurance, entertainment, nonprofit, utilities, education, legal, agriculture, pharmaceuticals, and of course IT. Abby is graduate from University of Abuja, Nigeria, also Rotman School of Management, University of Toronto, MIT Sloan School of Management, Harvard Business School, an executive trainer program for business executive and professionals. She served as an executive board and external relation division in Behain Pharmaceutical, where she worked on issues dealing with various medical health. She received her bachelor degree in economics from University of Abuja. Abby's continued research focus on ethical leadership and youth development, which has influenced her academic background, profession, and purpose. So you have the mic now, Abby, and let me mention that this online event is sponsored by VitScholar. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Just if you have any, this is Ahmed Moem, co-founder to Agile Club. Just if you have any question, send them over chat, and Abby will be monitoring this chat and will be responding to your questions. Sorry for interruptions, Abby. So you can start.
All right. First of all, I would like to say a big thank you to the sponsor, VitScholar, DWC, for giving me the opportunity. And also a big thank you to the hosts, Mahmoud as well as Hamed. They've been from the first time we started to talk and till now. There's been very supportive, and I'm a very big fan of their work in Cairo, in the entire part of Egypt, and their passion for moving forward the whole agile mindset and the transformation that is going on, and then assisting and helping people gain different types of knowledge and understanding, helping them forge forward with their agile careers. I'm really grateful to be a part of you guys and collaborating with you. Thank you. And of course, thank you to every one of you that's joined already. Many registrations came through, lots of interest. I was actually very intimidated when I saw responses on my LinkedIn and also my WhatsApp, people saying, Abby, I'm going to be there. So it's finally here, and I'm happy to be doing it. Thank you so much for choosing to me today. And I'm hoping that at the end of it, you would be able to take away a lot of things that you can immediately apply in your workplace, personal lives, and in different organizations. All right, so I will begin. And the title of this whole conversation, I'm just going to call it a conversation, is talking about mindset culture. And I thought be a perfect, almost perfect, because I believe the two keys for recipes for agile transformation. Over the years, I've heard so many people talk about agile transformation. I've heard different school of thought leaders, participants, and they're always focusing on the mindset. But then when I moved to this part of the world, started doing some work in Nigeria, to be specific, and also did some work in UAE, Dubai, I realized that the culture is something that has to be addressed. And so today, I'm going to take you through the series of, here is my, just one second, try to move to my next slide. All right, here's what is Agile Transformation? I'm sure pretty much everyone has an idea by now, and maybe we have a few here who do not, and I'm going to just explain that in a jiffy. Second, what does it mean to have a mindset? The place of the mindset in Agile Transformation, the premise for Agile Transformation, mindset overhaul in Agile Transformation, the impact of culture on Agile Transformation, a fallback to the old way, cultural resistance in Agile Transformation, the role of cultural fluency in Agile Transformation. Change is important in Agile Transformation, mindset and culture shift as a foundation for sustainable Agile Transformation. I would start by telling you a story, a very personal story of mine. For those, some people in the audience might already know the story, but for the benefit of those who have never heard the story, I would like to share it again. As Mahmoud has explained, I've been working in Canada close to 20 years. I started off as a business analyst, moved into management consulting, and then I met a guy who mentored me and then helped me get into and start my Agile career. I started as a Scrum Master back then, working in Cisco in the United States, moved back to Canada and worked on so many roles. I moved from being a Scrum Master, coaching teams and different teams in different organizations, to actually being an Agile coach. And I worked with many organizations, some of them CGI, Bank of Montreal, CIBC, Canada Post, just to mention a few. And I worked in those organizations as an Agile coach. I was an Agile coach for teams. I supported teams, helped them improve. Then I became an Agile coach for executives, for leadership, them and coach them and assist them in their Agile journey. And finally, I moved into an enterprise role whereby I had to be an enterprise Agile coach and work with people. And my message was always about having the right mindset, which is the Agile mindset. And what happened was that I found that there was a lot of people who got interested with my approach. And so apart from training at my client side, I decided to give people a unique experience. This unique experience was to enable people understand Agile from a personal space, whereby what does this really mean? I'm not interested in the certification. I really want to get it. And I want to be able to test it out on my own, maybe in my personal life or in my workplace. So I started a training school, and then I was helping people go through this whole education and knowledge of Agile. It would run, the programs will run anywhere from 2 months to 3 months. And, the excitement, the exhilaration from everyone, it really got me pumped up. So it used to take a lot out of me to do that. So I would do that at work. And then I'll also do that, outside of work, weekdays, evenings, weekends. It was very tiring. And then as the word was going out, I started to get a lot of requests from Africa, from Nigeria, people saying, oh, Abby, this doesn't exist. We need this. So I said, okay, I'm going to come test it on my own. So fast forward 2.5 years later, this is December 2019, I started this journey in Africa, 2017, January. And I set up a meet and greet, and everyone, it was the first work year 2017, and everybody said no one is going to come. The first working day of the year, people are going to interested in being at the workplace. Like, come on, you know, no one's going to show up. I had 80 something people show up at this event. Everyone was excited. Everyone was interested. The event was over way before people left. I had to let people know that our time at the venue is fast spent. We need to leave. That's how much people had a good time. They enjoyed it. I didn't say too much, but I allowed them to participate in a lot of activities that was helping them to understand, a lot of simulating activities, helping them to understand what Agile was. And that's how the journey has begun. And then when I came to Nigeria, I started to reach out to organizations and individuals, and they didn't accept me. They said, whatever you're talking about would only work. Whatever you're talking about would only work where you're coming from. Whatever you're talking about would only work where you're coming from. And I said to them, really, I don't think so. I believe it can work here. There was a lot of resistance. People said, no, it won't work here. It won't work here. It works perfectly in the Western world. It won't work here. And I was really struggling. And I said, but I wasn't accepted as being a Nigerian because they felt that I had been away for too long. And so I wouldn't understand the culture. I wouldn't understand the workplace. I wouldn't understand the behavior. So how am I going to help them change and accept change? How am I going to help them do new things and better things? So I took a different turn. I started to document my experiences, my personal experiences, how I was being affected by different things happening to me physically in the same country. And then when I go for a workshop or I go to a client space, I would start to share my personal experience. I'll talk about the traffic. I'll talk about, you know, relationships, and I'll talk about, you know, every issue that affects people. I will talk about religion. I will talk about being a woman, the gender. I will talk about my beliefs. And slowly and gradually, they started to embrace me because they felt that, now she understands, now she gets it. And then that was the magic wand. It seemed that everything after that made sense. And so I learned to incorporate that in every of my trainings, every of my engagements, every of my consulting, every of my interactions, my personal experience, making sure people understand that I feel their pulse, I have been there, I understand. Only then do they open their ears. It works like a charm. So take it as an advice. Anyone listening to me and has the same challenge or is having that type of challenge, just give it a shot. And after telling you that story, I'm going to tie it into my presentation. So I'm sure you can all see my presentation right now. And, you know, the question is not what is Agile. The question is, what is Agile Transformation? I'm sure pretty much by now, just go on Google Agile. People have different pronunciations, which I've come to hear, Agile, but I pronounce it Agile, and I think a lot of people pronounce it Agile. So the question is, what is Agile Transformation? It is a process, right, that you take the organization through. You put into consideration so many factors. The two big things are culture and structure. And when we talk about culture, mindset is actually embedded in culture. Mindset is embedded in structure. And Agile transformation is the ability for an organization to respond to change as fast as change can occur. I always say for an organization to respond to change at the speed of lightning. Those are my words all the time. Agile transformation is the state of not just doing Agile, but being Agile. Transformation, I've seen so many examples out there, and they talk about how you have a caterpillar who metamorphosize into a butterfly. But for me, I think transformation is way that. It's stronger than that, right? There's a lot of things that usually happens. And quick questions people always ask, Abby, how long would a transformation take for my organization? My answer, always straight face, is 0 to 5 years. And they're like, oh my God, why it takes so long? And I'm like, because I don't know how fast you're going to respond to change. People respond to different things differently. When somebody is afraid, they'll respond differently. When somebody is in shock, they might just freeze. When some people are in shock, they are screaming, right? They're just shouting and running and all kinds of things. And so agile transformation, most importantly, is the process of changing an organization's culture and structure through the mindset for the culture, through the mindset for the structure. Okay. Again, I have to move that. What does it mean to have an agile mindset? There's a lot of answers again out there, but having a mindset, I found out in my experience, especially in Africa, goes beyond just saying the word being or doing. So people say when you're just doing agile, you don't have the mindset, you have to be doing and you have to, so doing and being gives you the agile mindset. Working in Africa, working with organizations and addressing so many issues in Middle East and in Africa, I find out that having an agile mindset has gone one step further beyond doing and being. And so on my slides, I'm sure you can see it. An agile mindset is a set of attributes supporting an agile working environment. This includes respect, collaboration, improvement, and learning cycles, pride in ownership, focus on delivering value, and ability to adapt to change. The mindset is necessary to cultivate high-performing teams who in turn deliver amazing value for their customers. But you know what I find? Most of the time when we talk about agile transformation, most of the time people forget, right? We say it, but in practicality, people forget. You're moving from the old to the new. And so when people are moving from the old to the new in a workplace, they are moving from a lot of maybe sometimes bitterness, sometimes regrets, sometimes, regrets from sometimes some bad relationships, they're carrying a lot of baggage. And so those things affect transformation, because we're talking about individuals some people have had a bad experience in the workplace. They've had a bad experience with leadership. They've had a bad experience with their teams. And so how do you shake all that away and just say, oh, just be doing agile and be agile? Doing and the being, as I said, there's more that is required, because transformation will require forgetting the past, leaving the past behind, everything that you know, and embracing a whole world. But then I find that it's easier said than done. People would, murmur and they'll just say those things, but really they can't let go of the things that have affected them psychologically. And so that affects the doing and the being. It affects the mindset. And so there's so many things that has to be done. A reorientation. It's not enough to say we're going to adopt agile, we are going to transform as an organization. We have to address so many issues. And I put some of them here. Respect, collaboration, trust is a big one. People have lost trust in the leadership. They don't believe whatever they say anymore because they don't follow through what they say. The place of the mindset in agile transformation. So let's consider one of the attributes that supports the agile environment: focus on delivering value. The main point of an agile team is to deliver value to the customer. The team should be able to focus on what is the greatest value at the time and deliver the knowledge to others in the organization. Focusing on delivering value is a key agile mindset. And as I said, it's not very easy for people to focus on delivering value, because what happens here is that the word value is within an organization has been there has been a lot of interpretation to what value is. And so in my experience, when I bring this forward to an organization and working with a team, I help them realize and re-understand to align themselves on what value is. I am not making an assumption. And I always say, when I teach in my classes, and I say, you know what? Quick answer, value equals money. Value equals money. And when we talk about the needs of a customer, there's so many values. So for example, there's something called business value. There's something called customer value. There are so many values. However, let me just use these two examples, right? And talk about it for just a second, right? How does an organization get educated to the extent that they're able to make good decisions when it comes to prioritizing customer value versus business value? The first question is, do they even understand the difference? And so a lot of these things, people miss it because looking at a different thing, we're making an assumption that we all understand what value is. And so what I do is I bring that back to the table. I bring that back so that we understand the conversation. So I have a client that I'm currently working with. So I'm going to give you another example. And this organization says, Abby, we want to transform. And so I'm taking them through my new learnings of what is culture, what the role it plays in transformation, the being and the doing and beyond. I'm taking the mindset. I'm taking them through so many things, right? And so they're very, very, their response is fantastic. I mean, their whole participation is amazing from top down. And so we come to a situation whereby we had to really ensure that everyone understood what value was. And at so many intersections, we're faced with that conversation. What is value? And so we're like, oh, didn't we understand what value was last week? Didn't we understand what value was last month? But then again, it's an opportunity to relearn. And so in this situation, we had to determine what value was. In this example, the question was, I need a new product owner, right? And I'm building this product for a client, an existing client. But then the person whom I have has the best technical knowledge for the product. This person can build a beautiful product. This person can develop a fantastic, strong technical knowledge. This person can do everything about it. And they said, that is the person who should be the product owner. I'm like, okay, right? I hear you. I open up my slides, show them the responsibilities of a product owner. I'm reminding them what is the responsibility of a product owner. And guess what happens? They're like, is it really important for the product owner to understand the business, to understand return on investment, on how to market and sell a product, and how to meet the needs of the customer? Shouldn't it be that a product owner should have technical acumen over business acumen? And we go into a conversation, I wouldn't say an argument. We go into this conversation. So I'm asking them, all right, so first of all, your product owner, right, has no business experience, right? You're willing to trade that, but has this technical experience. Goes to the customer, can't speak any business language. Customer only speaks numbers. And so this technical person won't be able to communicate to your business, one. And then also, why did you fill up the team, the Scrum team, with technical experts, developers, UI, UX, back-end, full stack, data science? Why do you have all these technical experts if you still want a product owner who has a strong technical inclination? So why are we wasting the time? We might as well just let the product owner build and sell the product. Second argument. Third argument is there value in building, the big question for everyone, which has more value? I'm not saying what is wrong. I said which has more value. The question for everybody is more value in developing the best, coolest product, or is there more value in having the best product owner that understands the market, understands the customer, understands the return on investment, the vision of the product, and all of that? And so in that example, I'm helping my client yet again understand that we're not going to make an assumption of what value is. We're going to break it down to really understand that. And I'm hoping that somebody here can take away something about value, delivering value, focusing on delivering value. It's a constant assessment. What is the premise for Agile Transformation? We all know the manifesto. We're familiar with the manifesto. In fact, the manifesto has tons of translations, and I'm so happy that I'm from Nigeria, the west part of Nigeria. We speak Yoruba, and the manifesto has been translated into my language. That's so amazing. And so it shows me the importance of the manifesto and how it's cutting across different cultures and different spheres. And so the manifesto focuses on 4 things. When we talk about value, the customer collaboration over contract negotiation, individuals and interactions over processes and tools, responding to change over following a plan, working software over full documentation. When we read this out aloud, as I'm reading it out, we all seem to have the same understanding. No. When people read this online or they're in a class, either a certification class, it seems to mean the same thing. Just wait until you get into your organization. Just wait until people now have to realize what it means. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. The practicality of it is a struggle. Individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Same thing. Responding to change over following a plan. Software over full documentation. And so remember what I talked about, that Agile goes beyond just being and doing. All of this, the way people have worked over the years in the traditional environment has shifted. And so just telling somebody, oh, become Agile, develop a mindset, adopt a mindset, it's beyond that. A lot of things have come and have choked all of that conversation. And a lot of that thing is what? Another premise for Agile Transformation, I'm just zooming in now. So let's consider the customer collaboration over contract negotiation. And it says an Agile team has to be guided by the value in their mind. And that is, they have to respond to the customer base on this value. So the question is, we would have to do an exercise. We would have to have a conversation to determine the value in their mind. And so remember in my previous conversation, the example I gave you, what is more value? Developing the best software or having the ability to make a sale of the best software? Which one is more valuable? Which one should you prioritize? You want my answer? My answer is, let us make sure that we can market this product. Let us make sure that we can sell it. Let us make sure that we can actually, we can market it, we can sell it, and I'm just trying to remember the third one, and the last one is develop. For those who are familiar with product vision, developing a product is the last priority. Being able to market a product is the first and topmost priority. And so in understanding this, we have to sell the value in the mind of the customer. We have to sell the correct value in the mind of the client. And so they will always have to prioritize customer collaboration over contract negotiation at every situation they have to interact with the customer. And so no assumptions, like I said, right? The word transformation means that there's an existing version and you're looking to move to a higher version or a better version. So if it requires a new way of thinking, a new way of doing, you have to know that thinking comes before doing. I'm going to ask a question and you can put your answers up on the chat. Talking about thinking and doing, there are 4 birds sitting on a tree. Sorry, 5. There are 5 birds sitting on a tree. They're all lined up. And 4 of them said, I think we should fly. Maybe we should fly. They decided to have the conversation. Maybe we should fly. Maybe we should fly. And they started to talk about it. And, you know, I turned and I looked. How many birds do you think are left after the conversation on the tree? If you know the answer, please put it up in the chat with your name, obviously. And I'm going to come back to that once I see responses in the chat. The question is, how many birds are left on the tree? That is the question. How many birds are left on the tree? All right, I see. All right, somebody said 5. 5, fantastic. I love all the people who said 5. You're right. Please note that thinking comes before doing. So they were thinking about it. Nothing's told us that they did it. So thinking is not what? Doing. But thinking has to come before doing. And thinking does not equal to what? Doing. The fact that 4 birds were talking about doing it did not mean that they did it. And so if I told you that they were thinking about it and they planned on how they were going to fly, they talked about the direction and they flew, then the question would be how many was left? Maybe you'll be right by saying 1. None of them did it. And so that's where we find ourselves with the mindset. So many of us were always thinking about the right things. We're always thinking about doing something. We have the best strategies, the fantastic stuff lined up in our head, but not taking a step. And so they're not the same thing. You didn't do it. It didn't fly. So there are 5 left. Still 5, nothing happened, no change. And so I go into organizations and they're having meetings upon meetings and strategy and documents and all kinds of stuff, and money is being spent. And 6 months down, when do we start? 6 months down, 6 months gone. 6 months wasted, money gone. Did they do a transformation? No. Do they have the map and the roadmap, and do they have all the fantastic stuff? Yes. Are they transformed? No. They're still where they are. Mindset overall in Agile transformation. So a mindset overall is involving moving from the traditional way of working to understanding and imbibing Agile values and principles. And that is the first step, you know, thinking about it. The second step is taking the steps, the actions to doing it. And one thing I want to challenge you right now before I move to the next slide is go on Google and type, look for something called a checklist for Agile transformation. The first on that list will be make sure that there is executive buy-in. Number 2 will say something else, I don't remember right now, but number 3 will be engage a partner. And so the good thing about engaging a partner is that you're going to have a neutral person in your organization who has never experienced any heartaches or hasn't experienced any bitterness, hasn't had any trust issues with anyone, hasn't been, you know, backstabbed or whatever it is, hasn't felt hurt but not being promoted, like hasn't felt any baggage from people, like how people feel in organizations, right? Maybe a bad boss or a bad colleague or something, all the bad experiences. So this person is on a neutral ground, has no feelings whatsoever. And so this person is able to have a straight head to think straight and help you make decisions that will help you move forward. But what you find is that organizations will say, no, 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 let's save money. Let's save money. We can do it ourselves. Hey, you go for certification, CSM, you go for CSPO, you go for developer training. And they spend money, send out people in hundreds for certifications, for workshops, for trainings. And then they're coming back in their hundreds, in their tens, back to the same thing. And then they try to now implement what they've learned in class. They're excited, they're motivated, I can do it. And then one word sets them back 10 steps. One word from that boss who wouldn't listen, from that boss who feels that this is the right way. And then all of a sudden, slowly and gradually, what they've learned, the excitement from the class and the passion to try to make a change dwindles. And before you know it, what's happening? Everyone is confused because they're all reminded of those things. And so it's going to be difficult to move away from the old and imbibing the new, because everything that exists in the organization before now goes against Agile values, goes against Agile principles. So the mindset is affected. The mindset overall in Agile transformation is a shift from, it's a shift, which is a gradual process, right? And so Agile transformation is a journey. And so remember my statement earlier, and I said a transformation could take anywhere from 0 to 5 years. It's actually true. What can take weeks to months is adoption. So adopting a new Agile practice, maybe Kanban, maybe Scrum, say for DevOps, and so many Agile frameworks out there, right? Adopting any of those, right, is part of adoption, right? And adopting, having conversations about a new way of thinking, addressing culture, addressing structure, addressing so many things. Those are pretty much talking about it, and that is adoption. You know, it's orientation, it's onboarding, it's exposure, it's training, it's all of that. But hello, however long that adoption takes, maybe 3 months or 1 year, transformation hasn't started. Transformation starts when adoption stops, and then transformation becomes a journey. And it's not a snap of a finger, it's not a magic wand. It's a process, and it's gradual. It's very slow. It's like baby steps. And I'm going to explain that later on. Let's consider this, the Agile mindset and the bureaucratic mindset. Now I'm moving to touching on structure. So when there is a goal, the law of the customer, an obsession with delivering steadily more value to customers. So when Agile mindset now exists in the organization, but when Agile mindset doesn't exist, what you find is that a primary focus on the goal of making money for the firm and maximizing the shareholder value. And you can look at this table as a quick litmus test. It's a quick litmus test. And when you find the people in an organization saying, hey, we've adopted Agile, hey, we're now Agile, listen to the conversations. Don't look at the space. Don't look at the beautiful collaborative space. Don't look at the titles and the new roles. Listen to the goals. Is there an obsession of delivering steadily more value to customer, or they're primarily focused on the goal of making money for the firm, maximizing shareholder value? The second one is how work gets done. So the law of the small team. So a presumption that all work be carried out by small self-organizing teams, working in short cycles and focused on delivering value to customer. In a very, very bureaucratic mindset environment, the presumption is that individuals report to bosses who define the roles and rules of working and performance criteria. And so when I work with my clients, I make them easily, quickly, from the moment I step into the door. Before I even start to train, I start to change the conversation. I start to change the language. And I do it in a very funny way. And then I'm telling them, okay, so you guys are working on projects? They're like, yeah, we're working on projects. I'm like, well, a transformed organization, an innovative organization doesn't work on projects, they work on products. They deliver processes and services. And then they're like, okay, makes sense. And then we're in a conversation again and they're repeating it and then I correct them. And before you know it, little things like that help to change the mindset. The language has to change. And so somebody says, oh, we have this manager, he oversees 500 people or he oversees 50 people and he's going to, define the roles, he's going to work with them, he's going to dish out the work. And I'm like, what? Are we in dinosaur age again? Right? Who does that? Why would I pay a manager, a senior manager or a director to dish out work for people? That is pure waste. In Agile language, for those who know, it's muda. That is waste. There's no value in there, whereby I come into work every day, I have to babysit a bunch of experts that we hired and we're paying so much money for. I have to manage their time. I have to manage their work. I have to, oh my God, then come on. Just change my responsibilities already and call me. Well, let the advert on LinkedIn be, we're looking for a senior babysitter who can babysit experts, technical experts, business experts, cut out their work for them every day. We're looking for a director, an executive who is going to manage people, manage the time of coming into work, manage the time, micromanage them, check out their performance and all of that. Why don't we change the job description to really say what it is? And so, because that is what it is, that is what we find senior managers and managers doing, team leads doing every day. But the world has changed, the world has moved on. It hasn't worked. And so organizations in that practice haven't transformed, they haven't been innovative, they can't compete. You can't have this conversation, for example, at Google or Amazon or at Facebook. So there's a question, where is the marriage between project management and product management? And I'll try to answer that question quickly. And she also made a statement that the person asked the question, management will be extinct. I wouldn't put it that way, but then the same organizations complain about long approval structures, like long approval times. Why is there long approval time? It's because of the bureaucracy. You have put like six lines of people, you have tasked them with reviewing a document and approving it. And so you have written a policy that it must go through the 6 people. And so you can still have management, you can still have leadership, but it can be flat to make workflow faster, right? And the truth is that there is agile project management, not traditional project management. And there's a place for agile project management, right? Some organizations find a place for it in transformation, but I don't want to speak to that because it's not, it's kind of out of scope for me right now. But then when it comes to product management, right? Project management is managing the life cycle of a product. For me, as a coach, as a practitioner for so many years, working with so many clients, I haven't found value in there. I don't think everybody will agree with me, but there hasn't been value there. There is more value in ownership of a product. When there is ownership of a product where somebody has a return on investment of how this product will behave in the market and how we're going to sell this thing and how we're going to satisfy the needs of the user community and the customer. That's all that matters when it comes to why do we need somebody to manage the life cycle? This owner will be responsible for that and more. So for me, there's more value in having a product owner than a product manager. Of course, there's so many schools of thought out there, in my opinion. The third one here for your litmus test is organizational structure. The presumption that, so when there's an agile mindset, there's a presumption that the firm operates an interacting network of teams. And then in a hierarchical, bureaucratic environment, the presumption is that organization operates to a top-down hierarchy with multiple layers and division. And that just speaks to what I said. And that's where you have the things done, approvals, and all of that. And so that tells you immediately that you are in a bureaucratic organization. So more questions are coming in. What about companies who said they are agile, but yet micromanaging others? So any company who thinks they're practicing agile can say anything, right? In my network, I mentor a lot of individuals who are working in different parts of the world. So there's this lady, she's from Dubai, and she's telling me she moved from a country, and in that organization, they said they were practicing agile. I said, really? Tell me, what were they doing? She said, all we did was sit together in a room and put all the requirements together and give it to the developers. I'm like, what else did you guys do? She said, no, that's all we did. And they labeled it Agile, Scrum. Well, even if she knew better, well, she was in a very junior position. She said she couldn't do anything about it. Luckily for her, she relocated to another country. Now she's in the Middle East. And now she's in an organization whereby they're saying they're doing Agile, they're doing Scrum, and it's the opposite of where she's coming from. And so a lot of people will say they're doing Agile. And so a litmus test for you is micromanagement. I just said that. So you can't say you're practicing Agile. You can't say you have an Agile mindset when there are certain behaviors happening. So quick litmus test, micromanagement strikes out Agile mindset, strikes out Agile practice. The second question is, if they haven't got authority to direct the Agile team, what is the responsibility of a team leader in the Agile environment? Wow. I love this question because this comes every time. I come across this question every day. There's a lot of value if this person, this management person, this senior leader, whoever they are in the organization, is spending more time helping the team become better. So playing a support role, showing empathy. So a support role would be, for example, the Scrum Master would have an impediment. We need a skill. A developer needs to be retrained. Can we respond to that change quickly? Get the developer into training, help them, right? Play catch up, right? Can we support them? People are having issues with their team. The Scrum Master is trying his best. Rather than asking them for deadlines, rather than asking them for percentage done, rather than asking them, are you done with that? Why don't we have empathy and try to solve deep-rooted issues? People have trust issues, and it will have impact delivery. It will impact high performance. There are tons of issues people have. And so I would expect that this senior management person will play a support role. What is it that what can I do to help you do better as an Agile team? Tell me. I'm sure they will sit you down and give you a laundry list of stuff. Definitely, you're not going to check my time. You're not going to find certain things in there like the time I came into work and the time I'm leaving. You're not going to find things like my deadlines and the times that I didn't perform well. You're not going to find things like that there. You'll be shocked, you'll be amazed. So I would say, I'm challenging you, give it a try. Give it a try. Just give it a try, all right? Test it out. Go to them, tell them, guys, I want to do things differently. I know you all report to me. I want to be responsible for other things other than what I've been responsible for. I'm telling you, just try to experiment it. You'll be amazed what you're going to hear, how they would want you to work with them. Another question now, can Agile also be practiced in delivery of services? And how can you do so in a junior company? It's fantastic. Best, it's so easy. And so Agile, so I developed a framework with my team, and it's called product, service, and process. And so Agile practice can help you in the delivery of your products. We all know that, everybody knows that. In the delivery of processes, right? And also maybe putting together processes, but also services. And so a quick one, somebody says, really, my process? And I say, for example, I'm working with a law firm and they say, we have no processes. I'm like, really? We have no processes that Agile can help us with. I'm like, really? I'm asking the question, really? And she's laughing. And I'm like, from the time you're working to the organization, don't you have a process? A call comes in, you take the call, the client says, I need this, I need that. And then you're going to be like, I'm going to send you a document to review. I need you to tell me exactly what you want, fill it out. It's a checklist and send it back to me. When I get it back, I will send you a proposal and then we'll take it from there. Hello, isn't that a process? And so there are processes all around us. But because they are so manual and they have become one with us, we don't even recognize it. But everything is a process around us. And so no matter how small, company of 5, company of 10, company of 1 million, you can automate processes with Agile. Last question, and I will continue. Micromanagement is in direct opposition to the Agile mindset. That's a great lesson, right? Thanks for that comment, Jennifer. All right, I'm enjoying myself. I'm having fun with this. I hope you all are. So the impact of culture on Agile transformation. Now we're getting to the meat of it. Culture is group-based. That is dependent on a group of people, which includes societies, communities with geographical zones. And so my examples moving on from where we are right now will be based on Africa and the Middle East, because I want to believe that majority of the audience are from Africa and the Middle East. And you know something, I just want to clear this and put it out there, that regardless of the culture or the color of the skin, North Africa, West Africa, East Africa, South Africa, Middle East, Arabs, and all kinds of people from the Mediterranean, guess what? Different culture, different colors, different types of people. We have one thing in common. We're human beings, right? We're all human beings and our brains work in a particular way. And so that is why when you are using, everyone knows about a medication called Advil or Tylenol. If you're familiar with that, regardless of where you're from, it says that it can help you with your migraine or your headache. When you take it, black skin, white skin, it heals you. It helps you feel better. True or false? And I think the answer is true. Just to show you that we're the same inside. Different color, different shapes, different languages, but we think the same way. And then most importantly, we come from a very heavy culture-induced environment whereby respect, gender, religion, beliefs, and values, most of the time family values. And when I moved to Nigeria, because I relocated to Nigeria and I started to work with organizations, I found out that, in the West, when I was in North America, we used to talk about culture, we used to talk about religion, we used to talk about values, we used to talk about gender, but then they were all sort of like infused into a word called diversity. And then when I realized that it was infused into that word diversity, it kind of swallowed it up. Diversity swallowed it up. And diversity sounded like a really cool word. Like it just made everything easier and better. Nobody had to worry anymore. Nobody had to worry to say, oh, no questions asked. And then I lived in Toronto and the response is, oh, there's so much diversity in Toronto. And then there's another part of Canada, it's Vancouver, they say there's so much diversity. And so what happens is that culture is present. And so the word diversity has drowned every single thing I listed. And so it's silent. Those things exist, but it's very silent. And so people move on and overlook it. It's not the elephant in the room. Fast forward, I moved into this part of the world, working in Africa, working in the Middle East, and there's no such word as diversity. Everything stands out. My religion, either you're Christian or you're Muslim, something like that or more. If you're female, you know, certain things is expected of you because of, you know, culture / maybe your religion. And then the age, right? When somebody's older, you have to respect them. When they're older with so many titles, then you have to even more further respect them. Family beliefs that has been passed through one generation to the other, that has become a thing, you have to respect them. And so those things are cards. They are played out in the workplace. They are real and we embrace them. And they have been embedded into the work ethics. If you're paying attention to these things, you will understand what I'm saying. If you haven't been paying attention, go back to your workplace tomorrow and please just keep an eye on, be on alert and be looking out for these things. They're there. And I realized very, very quickly that all of these things are choking my agile conversations. They're choking my training. They're choking the conversations that I'm having in the room. They're choking even the examples. They're choking even the solution. They're choking the goals. They're choking the mindset, of course, and most importantly, choking the culture and the structure in the organization. For example, I don't know if you've experienced it before. You go into a meeting and let's say, for example, you have your director, senior director in the meeting room, and, you know, he says, oh, come with me, let's go into the meeting. And you know, not to take notes, but, you know, wants you in the meeting. And they're having some conversations in there. What I have seen, maybe not everybody has seen it, is that regardless of the conversations that are in the room, regardless of the arguments, even if somebody is saying something wrong and foolish and stupid, this younger person who is sitting down with his senior director cannot say a word because he would expect his senior director to speak. And even after his senior director speaks, he believes that it will be offensive or disrespectful to have an opinion in the room. And so that is the kind of environment I have seen repeatedly in many places. Another example is there's somebody in the organization, probably 50 something, has years of experience in the organization, like 30 something years of experience. And this guy is, you know, he's beginning to have the gray hair, is old, and people don't even know how to address him, you know? And the culture is saying first name basis. Yeah, first name basis. But then because of your culture, because of your background, you know that you can't call him by name. So you choke. And you know what we do as human beings? We avoid having to do anything with that person. For example, when I started up my team in Nigeria, there was this interesting young man. He likes me to refer to him as a young man. He was 68, now he's 70. His background was law and very religious as well. And I told him, I said, wow, this is very laudable of you. Like, I've never seen this before. You're definitely going to make Guinness Book of Records, like the first guy. And he's certified actually as a CSM who's doing all of these things in your age group. Oh my God, especially his age group, starting a new career in Agile. Can you try to relate with me, please? Can you try to understand what I'm saying? And this guy started to notice that when we work with clients, a lot of young people in the organization would not talk to him. And I didn't even notice initially. And then he came up to me and he said, you know, people would not talk to him. And I'm like, because don't forget, I was very new in the country as well. You know, a lot of things had changed for me. And so he said, you know, people would not know how to address me. I'm like, why? He said, because they'll be uncomfortable because they'll feel like they're disrespecting me. And so they wouldn't want to disrespect me. So they would rather not deal with me. And I said, so what are you going to do about that? So he said, when we are introducing ourselves, I should allow him to introduce himself. So I said, okay, sure, no problem. I would always allow you to introduce yourself. And you know what? Worked out perfectly. He would be the one to introduce himself, and he'll say, you know what, his name, and I'll mention his name here. His name is Femi Kolajo, because I need you to do a research on this and find out if the story is true. So you can go investigate. His name is Femi Kolajo. He's a lawyer, and by now he's 70 years old. And he will introduce himself as FK. Femi, it starts with an F, and Kolajo K. So he says, call me FK. And he will look them in the eye and he will say, call me FK. And it started to work. It started to work when he was working with teams and working with clients. And, some people would still struggle, but then he will make them feel comfortable. But then, can you see, it's a lot of work, but not everybody's willing to do that lots of work. And so that helps, that tells you that it's a big issue. And these are the things that choke transformation for Agile. It's a huge part of culture. There's a question here. Can you spell the name? All right. Femi is F-E, F for father, E for echo, M for mother, I for India. And then Kolajo is K for kilo, or Kenya, O for orange, L for lion, A for apple, J for jury or George, and then or J for my pronunciation, J for J for jogging, and then O for orange, F-E-M-I K-O-L-A-J-O. All right, hope you all got that. Yes, Kolajo. It's just one J. One J. Thank you. All right. The impact of culture on cultural transformation. Culture is a complex, so J for Juliet. Culture is a complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, art, morals, gender, religion, law, custom, and many others, capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. So this is a definition I found that really cuts across my message, what I'm trying to talk about today. And so what I started to do, I started to pay attention. I started to pay attention because some of the items listed here, some speak volumes more than the others. So some speak louder more than the others, depending on the environment, the workplace. If you have a lot of young people, like a fintech organization or a startup, you won't find old people in there. And so the respect part of it might not be an issue, right? But other things will still come to play. And so I pay attention. And the moment I understand the environment and I'm getting myself into, I try to call out all the different cultural capabilities. And then I embed it into my training, into my orientation, into my onboarding. I infuse it into my materials, in my communication. I call them out, I recognize it. And what happens is that people respond better. I find people respond differently, right? Because now we're not behaving like there's an elephant in the room and we can't see it. We agree that there's an elephant in the room and we're identifying what it is. And the thing is that whether we like it or not, all of these things that I've identified shapes people, and they bring whatever they are now, they bring that into the workplace. And there's a way people spread that aura across to other people. So for example, easily when you have at a workplace, you have Muslims and they have to pray at certain times, in the day. they would find themselves and they will collaborate on finding a good place to pray together. So can you see how they have brought in the culture and into the workplace, and not a bad thing at all, but then they will find themselves and create a network to help have better synergy, which is very positive. Same thing, right? When it comes to gender, you find women, if the organization doesn't really have value for women or places women in a certain category, what you find is that the women will group together and they would kind of stick together to deal with whatever it is that they have to deal with, right? Same thing with beliefs, right? Or morals or different things. Those things creep into the organization. And if you're not mindful of those things and you're not considering those things, agile transformation is going to be a failure. Like, it's going to fail so fast. The implications of becoming agile must be transferred into every part of the organization, which includes addressing the titles, tribes, age, gender, religion, beliefs, which are all embedded in culture and structure. As I told you, all these things will find their way into the culture of the organization. Nobody's planning to do that, but it finds its way into the culture of the organization. Also into the structure of the organization. So what have I been talking about? What I'm saying is that being agile, doing agile is not enough. What I'm saying is that going and training people to adopt agile, delivering agile training, workshops, seminars, it's not enough. You have to pay attention to the people. Whoever you are has to respond to change. The trainer, the coach, the scrum master. When you find yourself in this environment, you have to be alert. You can't push it away. It's not going to go away. And these things will choke. And the agile mindset wouldn't even stay. More questions? How do you relate this culture to what organizations call their corporate culture? Yes. So if I'm to go into an organization today and they say they have a corporate culture, even if they don't have one, I still ask for whatever it is they have. So whatever their ethics are and all of those things. And if you read it carefully, you would find all these things listed on my screen, the tribe, you'll find it. If you have one with you right now, just try to do a litmus test. Read it. It's in there. Find these things and translate them, what they really mean, because I've had to do that constantly, and it has really helped me in relating and being embraced by different groups and cultures in Middle East and in Africa. And so when they have that, when the organization has what you call corporate culture, if they have their values, corporate values, you hear like their corporate values, ethics, whatever it is that they have, vision, whatever, your responsibility when it comes to the agile transformation, a true transformation, not a fake transformation, is all of those things have to be revisited. All of those things has to change. I also emphasize even the language, the words used in the organization, right? All of those things have to change, right? And so I make them lose words like I report to, like, no, that's not, we're not going to have that conversation who you report to. Like, come on, it shouldn't be any conversation. What should be the conversation is that you're part of a team and I collaborate with the team. I'm working with the team. We're working towards being self-sustaining and self-organizing and cross-functional. And so when people start to lose certain languages or words or lingos, it also helps to shape their mindset. How do you change organization traditional culture to agile culture and mindset? Yes. Another question is, can we transform part of the organization, for example, a department first to isolate it from the different affecting circumstances? Okay, all right. Let me try to answer the other one first. How do we transform, can we transform part of the organization? So I have done this before, and the outcome was bad. All right. And so I struggled, and I even used to tell my clients, I'm like, oh, we can come into your organization and we'll work with your IT unit, or would work with your HR unit, or would work with your maybe with your you know, I would just recommend a unit. And that's what I used to do before. And I'm telling you from experience that that is working with an organization towards failure. Some people might not agree with me, but I'm talking from experience working with multiple organizations and taking that approach. That approach never works. One time, I actually did this in Canada. And the organization was moving towards Agile. And they said, oh, we're going to set up a unit. We're going to call it Digital Transformation Unit for our digital delivery, because the organization was going digital with their service. And they set up 2 Scrum teams. And at that time, I was a Scrum Master. And I was doing my best. This team had no knowledge of Agile, never done Agile before. So I had to train them. I had to do everything. And after a while, after so much work and effort and time had passed, some of the team members came to meet me. They had this disturbing look on their face. I'm very confused. And they asked me one simple question. And for the very first time in my life, I couldn't answer. Usually I'm able to answer a lot of questions. And the question was, Abby, how come we get to be Agile and nobody else in the organization gets to be Agile? You know what came to me? I heard, like, why do we have to be punished? That's what I heard. Because they had to follow Scrum rules. They had to, you know, enact Scrum and do Agile and follow principles and change their mindset, change their behavior. And the moment they step into the room, their colleagues and other friends and peers felt like they were free to do anything. And that struck me. And I started to have conversations with management to see how, and they said, oh, Abby, yes, we're working on it. It's going to take time, but we want to you know, scale it across the organization, but we believe that this approach is going to work. See, it didn't work. That organization is still struggling, from hiring one product owner to having an Agile coach. They haven't made progress. So, secondly, I attended a conference in Istanbul, Turkey, and his name is Born. I don't remember his last name, and he was a keynote speaker, and he was saying it also from experience, and he was advising all of us Agile coaches: never do an Agile transformation bottom to the top. It should always be from the top to the bottom. And so first of all, I've moved away from isolating units and just starting transformation within a unit. I never take such engagements, right? It's torture for me and for all the people that have to be subject to that, because the organization constantly shifts the bar. It's a moving target when the rest of the organization will be transformed, right? And so if you have, say, about 20 something units, imagine finishing one, checking for the level of maturity, right? And then moving to the next one and then trying to scale that one, you know, it's like forever. And I don't like to stay with an organization more than 3 months. I can't. It doesn't make sense for me. Like, I don't practice that. And so I never go into such kind of engagements. And so my response finally to that question is that Agile transformation, when I've engaged Agile transformation for an organization, when I've been engaged in it, I have done from the top to the bottom. It's very easy when you start from the bottom to the top. The bottom are usually seen as the foot soldiers. They do as they are told. You tell them, go for this training, do this, do that, you know, they keep directing them what they want from them. We need this. And then even HR will come give that speech so that it can help improve your performance, blah, blah, blah. Right? It's easy. But then guess what? It gets stuck somewhere. Who wants to guess? The middle layer, the mid-level management. the managers, the senior managers who are the bosses of these armies, these foot soldiers. They're like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm going to lose my identity. I'm going to lose my power. I'm going to lose my relevance. And they have a whole long list of stuff and of why they think this will not work. And then most of the time, that's where it stops. It's put on hold. And when it's put on hold, they are trying to make a decision. They are trying to determine, okay, all right, do we want to do this? Do we want to do this? Yes, we want to do it. Okay, now, who is going to be responsible? Because the person who wants to be responsible for the entire organization now, having more foot soldiers to control. And then it gets delayed further because guess what? They can't make a decision on who is going to control this big transformation. And then from then on, money is wasted, time is wasted. Of course, you know the rest of it. And so my answer, simple answer is never do an Agile Transformation parts department. And secondly, always do from the top to the bottom, never bottom to the top. The other question is, how do you change organization traditional culture to Agile culture and mindset? Yes. So the way you do it is that I mentioned it before, you have to look into everything. No assumptions, don't listen to what they tell you. Listen to what they tell you, sorry, I'll correct that statement. Listen to what they tell you, but then make a request for everything they have. For example, their corporate culture, their corporate values, like they have a documentation somewhere on the wall or in a paper, request for everything. Look at the org structure, the organogram. Look at everything. Don't take their word for it. Take a look at everything, review everything, call out where the recipes are. I told you, look for the elephant in the room, look for all the cultural issues all the issues that actually affect culture and structure. Look for everything. And once you understand it, try to have conversations because I do observations, I have one-on-ones with everyone in the organization. Once you find that, right, then you need to go back to the drawing board and determine your material, your content. It can't be something you pulled out from the internet. It has to be customized so that you can address all those issues and you can speak to it and deliver exactly what they want. In a nutshell, the answer is Agile has to be customized. I know that a lot of people hate to use that word in the open, publicly, but I'm telling you now, and I'm not afraid to use that word publicly. When I speak at a conference, I'm definitely going to be addressing all of these things and saying all of these things because it's the truth. You can't use the same material you yanked off of a friend or from the internet and then now use that for an Agile transformation or guiding or training people towards Agile transformation or starting a transformation journey. You have to customize it based on the environment, based on your findings of the environment. I'll take 2 more questions and then I'll move on with my slides. How can we change a whole culture, beliefs, thoughts, language, or just going to consider them during the Agile transformation? Yes, so Rasha, we're not changing it. We're not going to be able to change it. These things have been there for like 1,000 years or more. You know, little you, little me, who are we? We can't change it. I'm saying that we need to recognize it. We need to find it because it exists. When we find it, you'll be very respectful of it. You'll be very considerate of it. You show empathy, and you would have to incorporate it and consider it during your Agile transformation. That is the message. We no longer have to be quiet about those things. We're not helping any organization when we eliminate or behave like they don't exist. We are in a better position to help the individuals in the organization and the entire organization when we identify those things and help them walk around it and help them understand it. That is the only way the Agile mindset will be embraced, because I told you all of these elements find their way into the culture of the organization. They find their way into the structure of the organization. And in order to complete a full Agile transformation, which is a real one, you would have to change culture. You would have to change structure. You can change culture by helping them infuse through Agile mindset, through the values, through the principles, and through the different practices. So you're going to have the hard conversations. You're going to say, hey, is this your corporate culture? I can see there are 10 items here. Is this your corporate values? Are these your corporate values? I can see there are 15 of them here. Hello, Mr. CEO, we have to change them. Have the hard questions. Is this your organogram? We have to change it. Put all the cards on the table. Have the hard conversations from onset. That is the only way to have a real agile transformation. That is the only way to change mindset. That is the only way to move beyond just doing and being, because we know now that there is more beyond doing and being. Okay. One more question and I continue with my slide. I think I've answered all the questions. Yeah, this is the last one. So is it correct to say that the reason it's best to start from the top is because once the staff at the top adopts Agile, it's easier for them to pass this down to the rest of the organization? Yes, it's very correct to say that. Come on, think about it. When your boss has an Agile mindset and is speaking Agile, behaving Agile, not doing any command and control with you and allowing you to be you and to sort of like exhibit your expertise and, you know, just bring out your best for the organization. You are encouraged, right? You are self-motivated to even do more. You're happy. You know, you now trust this person, right? And so that is one of the major benefits on the top to the bottom. The bottom would always, always, always respond to whatever they're ordered to do. So more like coaching the top level managers, mid-level managers, of course, yes. So you would have to train and coach, work with the executives first, then move to the middle level managers and whatever, and then finish with the team. All right, thank you all. I hope my answers are okay. All right, so a fallback to the old way. If Agile is not transferred to every part of the organization, regardless of the work done by Scrum Masters, product owners, and Agile coaches, the influences that formed the organization into whatever shaped it existed before the start of the transformation will eventually kick back into a strong elastic band. In a twinkle of the eye, things will go back. So the same way, right? So if you go in there and turn people to product owners, turn certain people to Scrum Masters and certain people to Agile coaches, and you're only working with like a group within the organization, or you're starting from the bottom to the top, that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be like an elastic band. Sooner than you think, everything is going to fall back. If you were an Agile coach and you were hired as a consultant to assist them in their Agile journey, and you went with this approach, and you were in that organization for 3 months or 2 months or 6 months, I guarantee you when you visit them back a year after or 2 months after or 3 months after, you'll be amazed that, oh my God, it's like I never came here. And so I never ever want to be part of that because that makes me cry. Waste. Okay, all right. Cultural resistance in Agile transformation. So transitioning from the traditional development approaches and enablers to Agile and continuous integration, continuous delivery has been challenging for many reasons, not the least of which is strong organizational cultural resistance. And so I'm just making an emphasis here now, right? And I've given some examples, you know, like real life examples. And if you can't, if you need my help, maybe in coaching you in identifying these things, maybe some people they find it hard identifying some of these issues within the organization.
Free now.
Okay, so I do coach coaches, Agile coaches, in helping them identify those things because sometimes they're really hard and they are really embedded, like I said, in the culture of the organization, the way they behave on a daily basis, and in the structure of the organization. So you would have to do that. You would have to find those things because it would lead to organizational cultural resistance. I'm very proud of a client of mine, and I'm going to be sharing additional stories about them. The role of cultural fluency in agile transformation. So in different parts of the world, individuals and organizations are governed by different religion, tribes, restrictions on gender and age group. So it's therefore important that the subject of cultural fluency is considered and understood. So you have to find it out, you know, and people will easily tell you, oh, no, we don't have those issues here. They'll tell you, right? And so my question to you as an agile coach, if there are any agile coaches here, I always relate the role of the agile coach to the role of a doctor. I hope nobody is offended by that, but I really find a lot of similarities there. So for example, you have a stomach ache, maybe your stomach hurts, or you have a headache or a migraine, and the headache and the migraine has been constantly bothering you, and the stomach pain has been bothering you, and you know, you now decide to visit the doctor. Has anybody experienced this before? Regardless of what you think it is, you say, oh, this has been happening to me for the past 10 years. Usually when I drink water, or when I eat certain food, or when I sleep, you know, and you're telling the doctor everything. He's looking at you, or she is looking at you, allows you to finish and says, okay, starts to ask you what we call stupid questions and says, what did you say is wrong with you again? You'll be like, doctor, I've been trying to tell you for the past 30 minutes, and he just allowed you to vent. So he's going to ask you, what did you say is wrong with you again? Where does it hurt? When did it start? You're like, oh my God, I just told you. He's like, yes, I'm listening. So I need to make my determination of what is wrong with you. And so regardless of what you said, your whole story, yapping for 30 minutes or less, he's going to come to his own conclusion in a different way. He's going to ask you a whole bunch of questions that you think is stupid. He's going to document it. He's going to make you take some tests, or he's going to make you take some medication to come to that conclusion. And so the agile coach, any agile coach who goes into an organization needs to behave the same way. Fine, listen, let them talk for as long as they want to talk and as long as they want to express themselves for whatever they think is wrong with the organization, whatever the issues are. You need to listen. But then you're not going to say, oh, I see the problem here is that you people have people who micromanage. I see the problem here is that there is slow approval process. I see the problem here is that the teams are not motivated. No, no, no. You're not going to come to a conclusion. That is a bad assumption. You are going to do your litmus test. You're going to ask them questions. You're going to do observations. You are going to do a whole lot of things, go through a lot of process in order to help them see. And the beauty of Agile, when you practice Scrum, it brings to visibility the issues to those responsible for it. So you don't even have to do too much work. You just do your Agile. You just practice your Scrum. Everything will be visible. But you must listen, and you must pay attention, and you must what? Observe. This statement I made when I spoke last month at the Remote Forever Summit, which is a conference online, remote. Everyone came online for the summit. Cultural fluency is the understanding and effective use of the hidden cultural currents of communication in different countries of the world. It's how to connect with others from the basis of their culture. This will help in successful Agile adoption. Understanding the culture of countries you're doing business in is the key to successful Agile adoption. Now, am I saying that when I went to Dubai that I had to start to dress like the people in Dubai? No. Am I saying that if I find myself in Kenya, I have to start speaking the language and behaving like them? No. What I'm saying is that I have to do my due diligence, research on their culture, on their behavior, understand the why. Why are they like this? Why do they think like that? Why is respect critical? Why is it so important? Why is it brought into the workplace? Why are they doing it like that? I have to understand all the whys. Then I have to try to experience those things. For example, when I was working with a client, talking about experience those things, they hired me as an agile coach to work with a team to help them improve. You know, it was actually a huge line of business. And they said, Abby, our product is investor opening accounts, online investor accounts. And, and they said they're trying to improve the experience and increase the number of customers. And I said, really? Okay. So I listened to all the executives. I took my notes and I went. Guess the next thing I did, guys? I went into the branch and I tried to open the investor online account. I put myself through a very painful experience. I had to experience it. So they had different channels. So you can go into a branch, you can go online. I did everything. And then when it was time for us to start, I let the team talk. Then I gave my own response as a customer. You don't need to argue with me. Guess what? The relationship was beautiful from the get-go. They were amazed. Abby, you did all that? Did you see all the pain? Was it stressful for you? Did you like it? And so honestly, I became a user. And I was able to give them feedback and they loved it. And I wasn't part of the bank. I wasn't part of the team. I was neutral and I was very honest and they appreciated it. And that helped to seal our relationship. That obviously helped me in my role as an agile coach. I was able to teach them and they responded very well to my training. I was able to help them adopt practice. I was able to help them work as an agile team. I was able to help them mature. But then the first foot forward really, really helped. And so it's all about you helping them understand that. It's all about you, understanding what exists and trying to become a part of it. People will not embrace you if they don't think that you care, if they don't think that you understand. When I was in Istanbul, I was the only only Black person at the conference, and I was a speaker. And what I did very quickly was that I started to be very, very friendly. I'm a friendly person, but I'm also very shy. I can be shy. Like if I see a group of people, I'll just, walk to the side. But then I decided to do differently. So I was saying hello to everybody. Hey, hi, how are you? Where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. And this group I said hi to, they just warmed up to me. Oh, we read about you. We're coming to your session. And then they said, let's go have lunch together. And that was it. And then they said, you know what, Abby, you know what would be good? You need to understand, you need to speak the language. I'm like, yeah, help me, I want to speak the language. And they taught me how to welcome the people. So when I went into my class, I don't remember it anymore right now. I wish I did. But when I went into my class, the first words that came out of my mouth was I spoke the language. I used the language to welcome them. Guess what? You can imagine how the class was. Everybody laughed. And, that was the icebreaker. And then everything else, the eyes were itching and waiting to just hear. And so what I'm trying to tell us is very simple. Don't behave like those things don't exist. Don't behave like you're different. We already know you're different. We already know you're not from here, but you need to do better. You need to make them understand that. You don't need to say it, but you need to let them understand that you're willing and these are the things that you're doing, and they would see it and they would embrace you. If they do not embrace you, if they do not, yeah, that's the word. If they do not embrace you, I'm telling you, you can teach for 10 hours. You can be the best agile coach in the world. You can be the best transformation consultant. I'm telling you, it's just going to just be like the wind, right? No memory, it won't have any impact. I think there's a question. Says, if I'm working with a multinational company, so I have to customize an agile process, each environment separately, depending on the difference in the culture. How will they interact with each other? All right, fantastic question. So I'll try to answer this one. Yes, so if you're working in multinational company, so in the West, I told you, culture isn't a big thing. It's diversity. So you would have to find the group. If you're working with a group of people, find out their nationalities, their background, right? If you're working with an entire organization, still try to find out what is predominant in that organization, you know, the gender, the language, the age, you know, all of those things I said, and customize Agile for them. And then you do that for every location and every environment. Now, when it's time for you to allow them to interact, right? You have done the work. You need to let them know that you have done the work. And so your introduction will be simple. You would start by saying, I have taken the liberty to do this, do that, with that. You know, I have worked with people in North America. I've worked with people in South America. I've worked with people in Africa. This is, you know, you call out those things that stand out for them. And then you allow the other areas as well to embrace it. When you allow them to each embrace it, their response and their interaction will be better. Empathy will come in. They would say, oh, no wonder when I do this, they'll start to remember some bad experiences and be able to make an explanation for it. And they're able to look away. You'll be able to sort of like help the organization, this multinational company, sort of like really, really have a cohesion that they never had. Because at the end of the day, it's one company, it's one people, and they have one goal. Somebody has to do the work, and it's unfortunate somebody has to do the work, but I don't mind. Like, I like to do the work. I like those kind of things. Learning is always a beautiful thing. So the role of cultural fluency, again, the importance and respect placed on age and title in different countries in the world has to be considered before an organization structure with few or no levels of management between management and staff level employees. So the old structure with numerous levels of management between management and staff level has been used for a long while, and these levels involve people. So on my left, if you can see my screen, it says, in cultures where age and title require respect, you need to consider these elements before imposing a flat management structure. So this is where I'm going to tell you the story of a client, and I'm in love with this client. I'm so happy with the work that my team and I are doing there. So this company is made up of 4 executive directors, they're founders, and they've been talking or thinking about the Agile transformation for 2 years. It didn't happen. Eventually it happens, and I get to interact with different people in the organization. So I do my observation, and then I start to have my one-on-ones with everybody in the organization, the management, you know, even to the very, very, very junior staff. And guess what? Everybody's pointing at the 4 directors, the executive directors, as the problem of the organization. I'm like, really? I'm like, why? Why do you think that? And they tell me, you know, and they say, oh, why do you think that the problem? Oh, they said, this is why, okay. And why do you think the problem? This is why. So everybody has a reason why they think they're the problem. Nobody thinks that they are the problem. Nobody thinks that they could be the problem. And so we keep working, and we keep working. So of course, top-bottom approach was the approach. Guess what? These directors are the first to take their training, go for the Agile mindset, recognize the changes that has to be made in the organization's culture, organization structure. And guess what? They are quick to just change, because they realize that their business needs to outlive them, and they have done their research to find out that this is what works. And so they're willing to make it work at any cost. And guess what? The finger pointing has stopped. The leaders have taken responsibility, took the next step. They have made a change. They made the structure of the organization so flat that can you try to guess who is having trouble now? The mid-level managers. They're struggling with how they're going to find their place in this thing. They're not losing their place. They bring a lot of value to the organization. And so we're working with them to help them understand that and many more. But that is a very it's a very interesting story that really brings joy to my heart. And I believe that if these people can do it, no matter how old or traditional or heavily cultural environment they're coming from, they made a decision and they did it. And there's certain examples for so many others to follow. Change is important for agile transformation. So organizations need to change and or supplement existing organizational culture to create an environment where agile initiatives can be implemented and succeed. And so I talked about change earlier, whereby organizations need to be able to respond to change at the speed of lightning. Mindset and culture shift as a foundation for sustainable agile transformation. So agile has a set of values, principles, and practices. And so this needs to be infused into any existing corporate culture, corporate value, corporate vision, or whatever exists, corporate ethics. So these values and principles and practices are supposed to be imbibed as soon as agile transformation begins, which continuously causes a shift in the way things are done. So do not start to rush to train. That is not where it starts from. It starts from changing all of the corporate culture, all of the corporate structures, and the visions and the ethics. Agile mindset and culture shift as a foundation for sustainable agile transformation. So there's a new way and there's an old way. So the agile values, principles, and practices are to change the old ways of thinking and perceiving things to the agile way of thinking that is dependent on the manifesto. So that is the reality of it all. I'm calling it as it is. It's black and white. You need to look at the manifesto, the agile values, the agile principles, and look at all of the agile practices. And you need to take a look at your existing agile, organizational culture and structure, and find a way of infusing the agile values and principles and practices directly into those documents or into those things wherever they are, and turn them around. That is where it will start from. Then you begin to now cascade the message across the organization. When people see that, they would believe, oh my God, look at this. We are ready for change. You don't even need to make any announcement. Once they see those things change, that is it. That is the message. Everybody will know that it's time. And they would be asking the question, what is next? What do we have to do? How are we going to do this? And people who are not ready, people who are resistant, this kind of approach, being the first things to change, will expose them. You will see their resistance. Agile mindset and culture shifts as a foundation again for sustainable agile transformation. For agile transformation to happen, it has to be clearly understood that it is a different way of seeing and doing things, not just adopting tools. I find that in this environment, a lot of people would adopt a tool, maybe a DevOps tool, for example, and they will start to say, oh, we are doing DevOps just by having tools. Or the organization will will implement Jira, and then they will say, we're doing Agile just by using Jira. And so those are the questions you need to ask. When organization is saying that we're practicing Agile, you need to ask a lot of questions, because you could be helping them by asking those questions. And if they're finding it hard to answer some questions, it would allow them to do a soul search, like to go back to their drawing board and really check, are we truly doing Agile? Are we going on an Agile transformation journey? What are we doing differently? What isn't right? Because it pains me, a lot of people are wasting time and money. So if there are no more questions, this is it. This is how to reach me. My email is there. My LinkedIn, Abiodun Osoba. I'm also on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. And my website is abiosoba.com. I see a question here.
Yeah.
What is Agile transformation, common pitfalls, and how to avoid it. I mentioned some already. The common ones is executives are not, there's no buy-in from the executives, they're not ready. Another major one is when an organization is determined to find a driver. So let me explain that better. So I've been in some organizations who invite me for a meeting and says, oh, Abby, we would like to go through the Agile transformation. But the thing is that we're looking within our organization and we can't find somebody we can put in charge to be responsible for coordinating all the efforts. And I'm like, put in charge, like, why? But then I find out that they don't get it. They say, I don't get it. They said somebody needs to be put in charge. Somebody needs to be responsible for communicating to the organization. And I say, why one person? What I've done, what I've suggested is you can have a committee, an agile steering committee that would help as the bridge, a group of people, not one person. It's about collaboration. One person can have all the perfect answers or know it all. So one person, if I give information to one person, by the time he takes it to other people, he's going to lose some of the substance in the conversation. But when you have a group of people that are collaborating together and sitting together to talk about how the organization can move forward, then you have a better experience. And so those are some of the challenges that organizations, like the common pitfalls they fall into. And so when they can't identify that one person, they decide to wait or not to even do it. Sometimes they believe it's expensive. And I always tell organizations that Agile transformation, organizations transforming the Agile way is here to stay. If you think embarking on this journey now is expensive, you just wait 5 years, 10 years time. You're going to spend 100% more. It's going to be very expensive. And at that point, you would have no choice. It's going to be a forced change and it's going to be very expensive. So, and what other pitfalls? So I talked about the executive buy-in, like I talked about organizations trying to identify a driver, organizations trying to do it themselves. Yeah, that's another one I mentioned before. Organizations not willing to modify their current structure or culture. Those are quick pitfalls. And organizations trying to do it themselves. Let me see, more questions. Okay, more questions. Okay. All right, so what do you do when you are commissioned by an executive who is not truly ready for Agile transformation? An executive who does not want to keep micromanaging. What do you do when you are commissioned by an executive who is not truly ready? I don't really understand the question. What do you mean by commissioned by an executive who is not truly ready? So the thing is, maybe some other Agile coach might cut corners or might decide to compromise. But I've been on this journey for a while now. I know what works and I know what doesn't work. And my name, my reputation, you know, is like a stamp on my work. And so regardless of whatever amount of money is involved, if they're not willing to address certain things that would allow for transformation to happen, I won't do it. And I always remind my team all the time, when we're not going to do it, we're not going to say for this amount of money, we will just come do some type of Agile in the organization. No. So my name, my reputation, all that precedes anything. And so I would do my best to help an executive within an organization or executives within an organization to understand what will be required. And I would work with them for as long as they need to understand. And once they get there, once I help them get start, If not, then it won't happen. They can move on to another organization. I'm sure there'll be tons of other coaches who will just do as they're told. What level of involvement, another question, what level of involvement do you think Agile coaches should have on organizational strategy? Should the leaders be driving this? Can the coaches put strategic priorities together? My response to this question is that the Agile coach who has been brought in to facilitate Agile transformation in the organization should be and must be involved at the highest level, at every level, when it comes to organizational strategy. This person should work closely and together with the leadership. They can't do it themselves. So your role is very simple. You would let them know that you are a facilitator, you are a guide, and you are playing an advisory role. And so you would come in from time to time to guide them in the right approach. But of course, educate them as well, which is most important. But the Agile coach must be involved, heavily involved in organizational strategy and in driving and putting strategic priorities together. Another question, how can we convince managers to stop adoption for the sake of starting the transformation journey? And what is the main difference and quick wins we should start with? So how can we convince managers to stop adoption for the sake of starting? Okay, just for the sake of starting, because maybe they need to show that they've learned some new thing out there and they want to try to help the organization. I guess I won't use the words. Okay, my response will be you would have to take your time. If this is something that you have identified, you will have to take your time to provide these managers with a proper education of what real Agile transformation is and a proper coaching. So if you are in that position and you're able to, you can do that in many sorts of ways. You send them some materials, you invite them for conferences and for things. So you would have to do some work, right? So you would have to really help them. You would have to, give them some books, some articles, blogs, invite them for kind of this online session that we're having now. So there's a lot that you're going to do. You can't just say stop. You can't shout on them. You can't force them. You're going to have to help them see things differently. And there's so many ways to help people see things differently. Sometimes you can also engage them in a conversation and ask all the whys, the hard questions. Why? The hardest one is how. That's the hardest one. How? People avoid that question. So I guess when you do that, if you take that approach, it should stop them for sure, or it should slow them down and they begin to see. So also maybe you might have to try to understand where they're coming from, do some research on your own and help them find the answers quickly, show them all those things. What is the main difference and quick wins we should start with? So I mentioned some quick wins already. You can find, there's so many stories, shared, it's called shared practices of how things have worked in similar environments. You can find those stories and you can, those shared practices and share with these managers, and then they can see. Or you can ask them to visit some other environments and see how things are working and have conversations with people. So there's a lot of practical things, and I think I've mentioned quite a few now that can help. The next question is, the HR persuaded the CEO to hire people. I shipped character always. Can we convince the owners to not hire them? The HR persuaded the CEO to hire people with I-shaped character always. Can we convince the owners not to hire them? So if there's Agile transformation going on, so I hate to make assumptions, but this question I'm not very clear. But if there's Agile transformation going on and HR is always the one hiring, you want to quickly address that because there's something called Agile HR, Agile Talent. and it's a different approach. It's not the traditional way. So anything that is traditional, that takes us out and puts us in the traditional way of doing things, we want to stay away quickly from those things. And so you need to make sure that before any new hire happens, I always like to set up a center of excellence. It always helps. And you want to make sure that the HR has gone through a proper orientation on how to identify talent, agile talent. And then what you would do is you would actually propose and recommend to assist them, initially in helping them develop a better process, a better approach in identifying agile talent, right? And you'll be part of that whole process. So I've had to do that for many organizations as well, whereby I join and I assist them, I coach them in how to now identify people, because it's not about sending your resume and then I'm sure many of you have seen some very funny job descriptions when they're looking for Scrum Masters or product owners. And so that's where it starts from. That's where you begin to attract the wrong people in your organization. And so you can start from there, whereby you get help in creating this newly embraced, job descriptions that people can relate with, that they understand, because you're trying to hire a real good talent out there. This person has been transformed. This person is now innovative. You need to put the right information out there, and you attract the right people. If not, if you put the wrong one there, you keep getting the wrong people coming for the interviews, and then, which is the traditional way, tell me about yourself. People will say things like, I can multitask. Like, nobody says that anymore. You shouldn't be able to multitask. And then you find people selling themselves in funny ways. So anyways, short answer is, please be a part of that process, educate the HR, help them adopt the mindset, help them modify the process, and help them go through the hiring system. The other question is it okay for the new Agile coach to consult with the previous Agile coach on how the team is, especially when the other coach is open for engagement on that level? It's okay. You can do that, but then don't forget what I said. Regardless of what you're told, whoever told you, be it the previous Agile coach, be it the CEO, the CFO, whoever they are, HR manager, whatever that person is, you have to do your due diligence. You'll find your root cause analysis, come to conclusions on your own, right? Listen to what they have said, but like I gave the example, when you go into a doctor, do your test, do your litmus test, find out for yourself, use different techniques and practices and things to uncover the issues, allow the issues to be presented openly to everybody, right? So there's so many things that you can do there. The HR persuaded the CEO to hire people with I-shaped character. Can we convince the owners to not hire them? Yes, you can convince them to not hire them. You can convince them. I hope I've answered this question. You can convince them, and I've explained what you can do by helping them do that. Do you foresee any other methodology surpassing Agile practices in the future? How can an organization continuously maintain the practice of Agile in the organization? So Agile is not a methodology, it's a mindset. So do I foresee any other Agile practice in the future? So Agile is a mindset, and there are 40+ Agile practices. A lot of Agile practices are being developed, and an Agile practice / framework is Scrum. There's another one called Kanban. There's DevOps, there's SAFe, there's, I don't want to say Spotify, there's a war out there now. There is XP, there is FDD, which is feature-driven development. There is test-driven development. There is DAD, discipline agile delivery. There is agile project management. There's so many, 40+ counting. There's personal agility now. There's so many, and there are many being developed. And I told you, my team and I, we're also coming up with our practice. It's not yet on the list of 40+. It's going to get there eventually. And so with the trend whereby this progression, whereby a lot of practices are being developed for different environments, I don't see it going away at all. And then an organization can maintain an agile practice in that environment. My recommendation, my personal opinion, based on my experiences working in multiple environments in North America, Middle East, and in Africa, is that I always recommend that an organization adopts Scrum as the first practice. That practice allows you to build a good and strong foundation. It has the being and the doing of Agile. It has an infused team-centric behavior, different way of thinking, different way of working, different way of organizing work. Once that organization has matured, practicing Scrum, they can bring as many other practices to help them. For example, if they have a product development team, they can incorporate extreme programming, they can incorporate behavior-driven development, they can do feature-driven development, they can do test-driven development, they can do DevOps. There's so many additional practices that you can layer on when you have your strong foundation of Scrum. So I say this as an opinion, and that is what I practice with my clients, and I see the successes. Once you have matured with Scrum, it's easy because Scrum is the only framework that allows you to do and be. The other ones just allows you to do. So start with the safest, which is to do and to be. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you. I think I've answered the last questions and I'm just getting things right now. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. It's exactly time. Thank you again for the sponsor, to the host. The sponsor is Vitscola DWC. And thank you so much to the hosts, Mahmoud and to Hamed. Thank you to every one of you from wherever you have joined that have taken the time to listen to me, for choosing to listen to me. And I'm hoping that you've taken one or two things away. And again, I'm always here to help in any way, shape, or form. If you are in Cairo, you can reach out to Mahmoud and Ahmed. They would be the best people to be able to reach me, and we can find ways of collaborating and working together in the future. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Abby, very much. Thanks for the attendees. And I wish with their expectation. We will send the survey right after the session for the people who registered and attend, and we will also share the recording after it has been processed by Zoom. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Abby. Thanks, everyone. It was an insightful session. I enjoyed it personally, so thank you.
Okay. So this comes to an end. Thank you very much.
All right, take care. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Bye, everybody.